I got the hell out of Richmond and went to a street fair in Strawberry. And it was amazing, because people are so real when they're poor, you know what I mean? I'm just comfortable with real people. I hate...
You hate what? Finish your sentence. Finish your sentence! I need to know! Oh, this is just collateral damage at this point. I need to know! Hot LA girls, am I right? Howdy boys, this is NPC, and today I'm bringing you guys the top 10 Ocelot vehicles. Before we dive into the video, remember that this is subjective, but I will be spitting facts. So if you disagree, then click off now, because disagreeing is not allowed on this channel. So yeah, herd mentality all the way. Let's go. And the final thing is, if you guys enjoy, make sure to drop a like. Let's see if we can hit 500 likes, and let's dive right in. The first vehicle on our list is the Ocelot Penetrator, which is based off of the Jaguar XJ220. Unfortunately, in GTA, I think it is a poor adaptation of the real life variant, and it's not all that fast. It doesn't look all that good. It's not the worst drive in the world, but I think that there's always better things to spend your money on, so that's why it's coming in at number 10. The reason why it's not even lower on the list is because Ocelot is not that big of a category in GTA Online. It's only got about 12 or 13 vehicles, and the ones below it are like the Jackal and the F620, which are NPC cars, so the bar is not set very high, you know? The Penetrator is pretty low down in terms of speed on the supercars list. It's not a very fast vehicle, so that's why it's towards the bottom of our top 10 here. On top of that, the customization is very mediocre for this vehicle. It's got super limited options. They don't change all that much about the car, so it's not really like, you can't get a whole lot of personalization on it. The exhaust options are all pretty ugly, or they stick out so far. Look at that. They stick out so far. If you're looking for the XJ220, I don't think this is going to scratch your itch in GTA Online. I think Ocelot is a pretty decent category of vehicles, especially towards the top ends. I do think it's quite funny that the list is so polarizing, because on the bottom end, it's competition for who's not in last place between the NPC cars and the Penetrator, but towards the top end, it's quite different. So let's make our way there with number 9. Coming in at number 9 on our list is the Ocelot Ardent, which is a sports classic vehicle. It does come equipped with machine guns. It's actually a pretty nice car. It handles pretty well, no signs of crazy over or understeer. It's relatively quick. I wouldn't say it's your number one option if you're going to be racing, because of course the sports classics are actually a pretty fire category. There's a lot of good options. It's very balanced. The Ardent, I would just say, is not a contender. It's kind of more middle of the pack. The car visually is pretty nice. You've got cool pop-up headlights. It's got a decent amount of customization. Can definitely put your own touch on this one. And the car overall is not that expensive, only being $1.1 million. I think my biggest issue with Ardent is that it's advertised as a utility car because it comes equipped with machine guns. It's also got a pretty cool interior as well, but aside from that, there's not much else to it. And I think that because it's advertised as a utility car with very few utility options, it's not amazing. I don't drive the car around that much, but it's not bad. It's enjoyable. Like, I'm having a good time right now, honestly. Would I recommend you buy one of these? Probably not. But if you do have $1 million left over, I would say it's a nice spend, you know? It's a nice little toy to play with. It's just not really a priority vehicle, that's all. Coming in at number 8 is the Ocelot Lynx, which I think is a pretty popular vehicle among the community because of its incredible looks. This car is so visually stunning. Despite that, I think its customization is slightly lackluster, since it did come out with the Cunning Stunts DLC. Those are kind of all meant to be more race car-like, and funnily enough, this car is not a good race car. It's not that slow, but its handling is very finicky. The back end can get a little loosey-goosey on you and cause the car to spin out. So it does come with a slight learning curve. That being said, it's not all that difficult to drive, nor is it hard to make look good, because it is just a beautiful car. And despite there not being that much customization on the car, I think the options we have they're okay. they're pretty diverse. I like how different you can make the car look with all of these different bumper options. On the rear end as well, you can definitely change the feel of the car. I would not say that the Lynx is viable for racing because of its fragile handling, plus there's insanely fast sports cars in the game like the Italy GTO, so there's not really any point in buying one of these unless you just want to use it in free mode. And even then, it's got a little bit of a price warning on it. It's $1.7 million. It's pretty expensive for what you're getting. I think if you are a really big fan of the Lynx, it's not that bad of a spend. I bought mine 7 years ago at this point, and I have not once sold it or wanted to sell it. I think it's a really fun car to drive. It sounds amazing. It looks amazing. That's kind of what you can ask for from a free mode car. But aside from that, there's not much more to it. Pretty simple vehicle, just looks good, sounds good. Don't use it for racing. And that is it for number 8. Let's move on to our next vehicle. At number 7, I think we start to get to the more underrated vehicles, in which we have the Ocelot Locust. This car was a little weird when it first came out. It's not that attractive with its default model, and that's how they get advertised on the Legendary Motorsports website. So I didn't want to buy one for a long time, but I think after having bought a Locust and customizing it and driving it around, I am thoroughly surprised with how good of a vehicle it is. It's got incredible handling, has very good traction as well. It's hard to get it to spin out. It's got insane customization. I think there's so much that you can do to the car, so many different personalized looks, different variants of even the same build. I think there's just so much diversity in the car, and I'm a big fan of that. I think we all are. I think customizing cars in GTA is one of the best parts about the game, and the Locust does a really good job with that. Performance, aside from the really nice handling, it's not like anything insane. It's not anything insane, but it's not doing too much. It's got good handling. It's got a relatively good top speed. Oh my god. Oh my god. It's pretty quick on its feet. It's light. It's agile. And I think for $1.6 million, you are getting a pretty good vehicle. It's well worth the package. It's cheaper than the Lynx, and I think that you're getting a little bit more out of it. So yeah, that's why it's one spot higher in the list, and I would recommend that you buy a Locust if you're looking for a for fun car. This car can even stop robbers. It's just part of the package. Look at that. Isn't that just amazing? This car is for justice. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope you guys see what I'm saying. It's just amazing. If you're looking to fight crime, this is your vehicle. Anyway, let's move on to number 6. Coming in at number 6, we have the Ocelot Swinger, which is a sports classic vehicle that goes for $900,000. And for $900,000, I think you're getting a pretty good deal. It's actually relatively quick, and I personally like the customization. I like the way the car looks. I was a big fan of Speed Racer growing up, and I think it kind of looks like the old cartoon Speed Racer cars, which is kind of how I've customized this one. Although I think there are some differing opinions. This was featured in one of our Topgear episodes, Best Sports Classic for $1 million, and it did very well. If you want to go check out the video, I'll have it linked in the description below. So on the performance end, the Swinger is actually very good for $900,000. That is for the more B-tier sports classics vehicles. Obviously the Turismo Classic, the Cheetah Classic, the Infernus Classic, those are our top contenders in that category, but the Ocelot Swinger is pretty good as well. I think it's a cool addition for your garage, and it's not that expensive. $1 million is not that much in GTA Online nowadays. And yeah, that's about it for the Swinger. Let's move on to our top 5. Coming in at number 5, we have the Ocelot Jugular, which is an interesting car because it's a sports car. It doesn't really have the look or feel of a sports car, but more of like a hybrid vehicle. It almost seems like it's built to rally a little bit. It's got incredible off-the-line performance. It picks up speed very quickly. It's not the craziest on the top end, but I think it does make up for that in its handling, which is not being demonstrated well because we're in off-road. But in general, the car does handle very well. Can't really get it to spin out. It has incredible traction. On top of that, it sounds so damn good. It sounds so good. A little bit of a spoiler. It's got a very similar sound to the XA21. It's got that popcorn kind of crackle effect right there. And I'm a big fan of the XA21 for you longtime channel viewers, which is also an Ocelot vehicle. Maybe we'll be seeing that on the list. I think the biggest issue with the Jugular is in its visuals. Unfortunately, I think the front, it looks like Peppa Pig. I hate to say it, that giant grille right there is like a gaping pig nostril. It's got a bit of Peppa Pig syndrome. It sticks out. The car also on the fenders here, or on the wide body kit, it just kind of ends early. It doesn't wrap all the way around the wheel. I think it's a little bit of a strange option that Rockstar decided to implement. It's also very tall. But if you can look past those, I think it's a fantastic car for $1.2 million. That's nothing for the performance that you're going to get and for the time that you're going to have with this vehicle. Ever since I bought the Jugular, whenever it came out with the, I think it was the casino update, I've not ever wanted to sell the Jugular. It's not my favorite car, but it's cool. It's a very respectable vehicle, and I think a lot of people out there do like the Jugular for what it has to offer for the price tag. So that is it for number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Coming in at number 4, we have the Ocelot R88, which is the Ocelot open wheel vehicle, making it very fast, very efficient, very agile. The biggest downside being that they're only one-seaters because they are literally glued to the ground. All open wheel vehicles are very powerful, very high-performing cars. They do come at a pretty hefty price tag. This one going at 3.1 mil, which is on the lower end, but all the open wheel vehicles are very close in performance, so I don't really think it's a big thing to worry about. And visually, I'm personally a fan of this one because it's a little bit smaller and shorter in length in that category. It's not so long. I think it's harder to get caught on stuff than some of the other ones as well. Customization it's okay. I think it's not that much more special than the other open wheel vehicles, but it's nothing bad either. I think they've all got relatively good customization. You can make them look pretty different from each other. And yeah, not much more to say. I think this one just makes it pretty high up on the list because it's open wheel. It's a very powerful Ocelot vehicle, and that's what puts it at number 4. It's got a little bit more to offer than some of our other vehicles lower down on the list, even if it is more expensive. I think that you are getting what you pay for, and in terms of Ocelot rankings, it's gonna be up there for sure. Coming in at number 3, should not be a surprise to many people, it is the Ocelot Pariah, one of the fastest lane vehicles in GTA Online. This thing is a monster in a straight line, topping out at 136 miles per hour. Despite this, for shorter drag races, it's not your best option because its acceleration is slow. It takes some time to build up to speed. Once you're up to speed, it is a monster, but on the way there, it can definitely be passed by numerous amounts of cars that you would not expect to be all that fast. The Pariah does have a little bit of fragile handling. It's not uncontrollable. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it is a little bit fragile, causing it not to be your best option in racing. Although in the sports category, you should have an Italy GTO because that is the single best sports car. At least on PC anyway. For HSW, that's a different story. The Italy GTO is still very fast if you don't have HSW and can't compete with this car. So the Ocelot Pariah is sort of invalidated because of that. I think if you are planning to cross the map very quickly, it's still not a bad option, especially for the price tag of $1.4 million. It's really not all that much for the insane speed that you get with this car. The customization it's okay. I personally think that my customization looks pretty cool. The Pariah looks a little lizard-like in my opinion, and I think that my customization with this, oh my god, this is such a weird color combo. It's like brown with green or something. It's in one of my color combos videos, so make sure to check that out if you want to know the color, because I did use this exact color on the Pariah. Visually, I'm not personally the biggest fan of the Pariah. I think it looks like a lizard, a really chubby lizard. It's like a chode lizard. It's just that the face, and then it's got a thick body, and then it just ends. No slitheriness to it at all. But you probably see it in the face there. It kind of looks like a lizard. It looks pretty cool from the back. It looks a lot like the Furore GT, which I think is generally regarded as a pretty good-looking car. The front end, I'm not the biggest fan of, but that's not really the focus of this car. It's just speed. It is just raw power that you get with this car. And for $1.4 million, I do think it is worth buying if you don't have one. It's a nice vehicle to have in your garage if you're trying to get from point A to point B quickly. That being said, there are still better options for racing, which is why it's only at number 3. But for an Ocelot vehicle, it is really good and for sure worth a cop. Coming in at a very controversial second place is the Ocelot Virtue. The Ocelot Virtue is a pretty incredible car. It gets up to speed very, very quickly. So quickly, in fact, that the car gets put on ice skates whenever you try to accelerate it. And it's impressive. It's impressive. It's really fun to drive. You can get it for free from the first dose missions. But the car is a little... it's got a learning curve. On top of being able to get it for free and it having incredible acceleration, it also has a modding tech, which is pretty crazy, making it more bullet and explosive resistant. It's got a decent amount of customization as well. Not the greatest customization a car's ever had, but it's nothing to complain about. And then once you unlock the car, if you want to buy additional ones, you can find it under the two-door section of Legendary Motorsports for $2.2 million, which is not that bad of a price tag. Now, this car is so impressive, so you might be wondering, NPC, how is this not in first? That's because our first place car is insane, and I think is such a good package deal that not even the Ocelot Virtue can beat it. And it's the beauty that was mentioned earlier in the video. It's the Ocelot XA21. I think this is the absolute best package deal for a free mode car that you're ever going to get in GTA Online. This car is ridiculous. It looks insane. It's so smooth. It's beautiful. It's sleek. There's not like all that much customization, if I'm going to be completely honest, but I think the customization that you can put on it synergizes very well with the car. I think they're all very good looking options. The car sounds amazing. It's got the popcorn crackling similar to the Jugular. I think it is the best sounding car in all of GTA Online. It also shares a sound with the Sterling GT, I believe. The car it's fast. It's not the fastest. It handles well. It's not the best handling. And it costs $2.4 million, which is not the best deal ever that you're going to get on a car. So you might be wondering, NPC, why is this at number 1? That's because I think this car is more than the sum of its parts. Everything individually that I just said, a lot of different cars have. But I think that this car just does not miss on anything. There's not a single flaw that this car has. It does not oversteer. It does not understeer. It's not slow on the top end. It's not slow for accelerating. It looks really good. It sounds the best in the entire game. And is it going to break your wallet? Maybe like a teeny tiny bit, but a lot of supercars are expensive and it is a very good supercar. Not racing viable. That's the only thing that I'll say is it's not your best option for racing. It's not actually that bad. It's outside of your top 10, but considering there's around 60 supercars, that's pretty good. So I do advertise this car as a free mode driver, and I think it is the best free mode driver that you're gonna get, even more so than, I think in my eyes it's more worth it than an Ocelot Virtue. I think it's maybe slightly less of a necessity than the Ocelot Virtue, but I think as an Ocelot vehicle, as a vehicle in general in GTA Online, it is the top of the top. Oh my god! Anyways, make sure to drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video. Let's see if we can hit 500 likes. Comment XA21 is God if you guys made it this far into the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Sub to the channel if you guys are new and you want to see more videos like this. And that's about it. Take care, and I will catch you boys in the next one. Peace!